Hi, good evening, and welcome to Confessions. I'm your hostess of light, Jenny Watson. Tonight we'll be talking about making an impact in the life of a child. You know, we may be a parent, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, or even a stranger, and we all play a role in the development of our children. It's our responsibility as adults to set a good example, to guide them, and to support them as they grow into adults themselves. Some of us even feel a greater calling to make our life's work about children, and knowing that we made an impact in even one child's life can be truly magical. So joining me tonight is an amazing woman who has dedicated her life to helping children. Midge Leavey is a preschool owner, a children's author, and a mindful educator, and she has touched many lives and soothed many souls. So it's my pleasure to have her on with us tonight for Confessions. So welcome, Midge. How are you?
Hey, Jenny. I'm great. Thank you. How are you tonight?
Good, good. Are you ready to bare your soul?
Oh, that's all I'm bearing, right? That's
Yeah,
it.
that's all you're bearing. No, no, no.
Nothing
You know,
else. This is
we can
PG.
get a little fresh, but we just keep the clothes on for that.
Okay.
No worries.
I'm ready.
We're just bearing our souls.
Yes, sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. So, you are truly an inspiration for me. You do so many things, and I'm just wowed every time I hear about the new things that you've done. I mean, let's start with you being a preschool owner and what led you to that journey?
Okay, basically, I started out of my home and 14 years ago. So I had my own children, and at the time, I was taking my children to preschool, and they decided not to do a summer camp anymore. And all the moms were like, what are we going to do? I have nothing to do with my kids. So I said, I could start something like just out of the blue, like just to help the other parents, just for fun and free and whatever. And we did it as a summer camp, and I, kind of regimented everything that we were going to do and scheduled little times for, story time. And I was like, wow, I really like this. So I went back to school, and I started that following year to finish up everything because I had already been to college years before. And then I started that year, and I had 4 whole children in my first class. And now I have 112.
That's amazing. So, did you always know that being on a path to helping children and guiding them was part of you, or did this just kind of surprise you when it all happened?
It surprised me. Really, I have to say that I never even wanted to babysit as a younger person. Like, I was like, kids, no, no, thank you. But then, oh, really, it's so funny. Like,
I'm laughing because I was the same way.
really, until you have your own kids, I don't know, that's what changed me.
Yes.
When I had my own kids and I got to understand them more just by having them, then I got closer with children. Before that, I didn't want anything to do with it. And I'm shocked myself when I decided to take this path.
Amazing. I felt the same way. So now your business is over 100 students, and as a result, you created a networking group to connect to other people who were like you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I started C2B networking group. I just decided I went looking for a networking group, and I needed something local to help my business because I'm a preschool, and you drop off and you pick up 2.5 hours later, so it's not something that goes really far. So I sent it out to all like parents of my school and other people that I could think of that had their own business, that were passionate about business, and I was really surprised. I had about 10 to 15 people come to my first meeting, and I just winged it. I just like looked up how to start a networking group and what to do, and now we have 16 businesses in the group. We've all become almost like best friends. Like, we support each other, we are there for each other, we promote each other, we visit each other's businesses. That was one of my first things that I made them do, is visit each other's business, so you're not promoting somebody that's not good.
Right.
So we promote only people that are really passionate about their businesses, and I love it.
I love it. Now, did that help you grow your business? How did you get from 4 children to over 100?
That the networking group I didn't start until 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it did help me, over the last couple of years. But growing my business was, an ongoing thing. But there was a little fate involved. I had 2 teachers in my neighborhood where I took my children to, and they did it out of their home. It was like so crazy. One of them decided she was no longer going to do it, and she recommended me to all her students. I was like, wow, that was really nice. 1 year later, the other woman that lives really close to me was moving to Vegas, and she goes, I want to recommend all my students to you also.
Wow.
So I like tripled my business within a few years' time. So that was like, it gives me chills still when I think about it, because I'm like, it was just fate how that all just piled on at the same time and brought me to where I am now.
I love that. And you grow your business and you're getting more involved and you're helping children. And then you started seeing like a trend, um, which led you to write a book, The Missing Mommy Cure.
Yes.
Tell us what this book is about and what the inspiration was behind it.
All right. So my son, when he was younger, my older son had separation anxiety really bad. Like, rip your clothes off bed. Like I couldn't even get him away from me. And I'd be crying and he'd be crying and it was just awful. And then I had the preschool, and when I saw other parents going through what I went through, your heart just aches for them. Like you just, oh my gosh, I remember that feeling, and mom's gonna be crying the whole time this kid is at school, and you don't want that. So I kept thinking of different ways to make this happen, and it took me 13 years to write the book, but I finally sat down and said, you know what, I'm gonna go to the city, and I took a writing class, a children's book writing class, and I decided to write. I knew what I wanted to write, I just didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that class, and I loved it, and I, made the Missing Mommy Cure, and it's basically just step by step of how this little boy feels, because I would ask my son, like, what were you thinking? Can you remember anything? Like, what was going through a young person's mind? Why was it so scary to leave me? Or why couldn't you do it? And, to the best of his ability, he helped me understand. Mm-hmm. And then it comes with a bonding bracelet that I just got new colors. I was so excited. I got green and pink, and
yeah, I was gonna say I remember it being pink.
Yeah,
awesome.
There's different colors for boys or girls.
For boys or girls.
But so it comes with a bonding bracelet and also like a little game in the back where they can play that with their mom or dad or sister or brother, whoever reads them the book. But I've gotten some really good feedback from people all over, like from Texas or wherever, and I sold a book in Canada. I really don't know how people found out about my book, to be honest, but I'm so glad that they did. So I'm thrilled.
Now, I've seen it is an amazing book. I've read it, and it touched my heart. And luckily, I didn't have to deal with separation anxiety with either of my kids, but I can see how powerful it could be. Do you mind if I read like one of the reviews to give people an idea?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Oh, I lost my page. Oh my gosh, look at me. I am not prepared. All right. I don't have it with me, but it was basically saying how it really did help their child, because what the bracelet does is connect them, make them feel like their mom or dad are still with them. And
right.
That was the premise of it, where it's like, no matter where I go, I'm here with you. Right. Which is great, because we always tell our kids, oh, I'm always in your heart, I'm always in your heart. But this was something tangible that they can wear, where they can look at it, feel it, touch it. And I just think that is such a really innovative way of, making a child feel better. And like, those are the kinds of things that the parents were saying. It's like, wow, it really helped my son or daughter when I dropped them off to feel like I was still there, connected to them. And it made the transition easier. And you have a whole bunch of these reviews, and I highly recommend the book to everyone with children who are young and about to go into daycare or headed for kindergarten, or even if you're just dropping them off to go out for a weekend somewhere, even if it's with the grandparents.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Some of the people even told me, and I didn't even think of it, like Sunday school. One woman used it to bring her child to Sunday school, and she's like, and it worked so great. She was crying beforehand, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Or even like divorced couples, when they have to leave mom's house to go to dad's house and stuff like that. So I didn't even think of that when I wrote it, but I was thinking school because, I got preschool on the brain.
Right.
But it's working for kindergarten and Sunday school and camp and all those sorts of things. So I'm thrilled whenever I get a review like that. So awesome.
That's awesome. Now, you also have another book.
Yes. So this one I did purely for fun, and actually one of my sons helped me figure out the name, and I have to give him credit because I just love the name of this book. It's called The Wolf Who Cried Girl, and it's kind of like a reversal story of Little Red Riding Hood. And it's fun. I love the pictures. I wish I could say I drew them, but I did not. But it's really cute, and it's just like corny, and I tried to be funny, and I think I succeeded. I don't know. The kids tell me I did, so they're the best critics.
That's awesome. Now, if people wanted to get your books, where can they find them?
Yes, so you could either go to www.missingmommycure.com or barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com.
Very cool.
All those three.
And then you also said there was a special for anybody watching this video?
Oh, yes. If they mention that they watch this video and they come to my preschool to join the preschool or the summer camp or something, I would give them a free autograph book. Either one of their choice.
Okay, cool. So, like, we're talking a little bit about the reviews, and like how people say, "Hey, that helped." But how have you seen people's lives transforming as a result of reading these books?
Let's see. Well, a lot of them was through reviews, but I did do some practice on the kids that come to my school because I wanted to make sure it worked before I put it out there. So I did have a couple of parents say they would try it with their child, and it was really good. Like one of them said, my daughter felt empowered with the bracelet, and I thought that was such a cool word, to feel empowered, and she was like so thrilled with it and showing the kids at school and feeling not as missing her mom, but and whenever she did look at it, she was, reminded that, the parent is coming back. And that's what the book is about. It's just an over and over reminder that the parent is coming back to pick you up, because that is their worst fear, is that they're not going to be picked up again or on time. So you just have to make sure that you're always on time picking up your child so they don't get even more anxious.
No, the world has become such a tough place since we were younger. And, I think we all have a role in helping the children. But even if we're not teachers or educators or book writers, how do you think that we can make a difference in the world, in the life of a child even?
I was going to bring up the mindful education that I learned because that was something I had no idea about earlier in my life. And they were like, "Oh, mindfulness." I'm like, "Oh, I have no idea what that is." Like, I'm gonna pretend I know what it is and then go home and look it up.
Right. So talk to us a little bit about mindful education, and we might as well talk about this. You're involved in an organization called Mission B, and they're promoting mindful education in districts, right now locally, but now are trying to expand throughout the globe. Yeah. So what is mindful education for those out there who might not know?
Okay, so basically mindful education is teaching children how to relax and release fear and anxiety through their breathing exercises, breathing techniques, and meditation, basically as far as visualizations and things like that. So we would go into a school, and I did it this past year, and I loved it, and I was thrilled to be asked to be on board with this volunteer program. And I went in to help with mindful education for first grade through third, and the kids were so accepting. Like, I really didn't know what to expect, and that was new to me too. Like meditation, I never did my whole life, and I wanted to learn, because of other things that came into my life. I started to learn right before Mission B contacted me. I was like, wow, this is incredible that they asked me to do this. So I went in and I would sit with the children. I mean, the whole mindfulness program is not just, meditating or visualization. It's all about anti-bullying. It's all about being a considerate, nice person, to other people, and manners and things. Like, I really feel that you could teach kids like anything about education. They could be the smartest person in the world, but you need to have some kind of foundation of compassion and empathy and sympathy and all of those things that make a well-rounded individual. And that's basically what we do.
That's amazing. And it also helps, I know, with, kids, as they grow up, they don't know how to verbalize it, but, they suffer from anxiety and they suffer from depression and, like you said, all the bullying. How do these little ones handle it? Because, sometimes kids don't know that they can talk to an adult about it, or they don't even understand what they're even feeling. And I think it's brilliant how mindful education is coming and teaching them how to understand what they're feeling, understanding that it's okay, understanding that there's outlets for it
Right.
that are healthy, like things that they can do to shift it. And I'm like, sorry, I'm going to tear up because I'm so like newly introduced to this Mission
Yeah.
B, and I'm just so caught up in it. I love it, and I just think it's brilliant. And I think it's amazing that we're expanding awareness out there, and we're starting with our children, which is where we need to start.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have thought ahead. I have like a stack of letters from the kids
Aw.
thanking me for teaching them mindfulness, and some of them, like, I'll never forget, like, it gave me chills and it made me cry. But one of the boys, he was a little rambunctious in the class and wanted to play like the cool kid or whatever, and kind of tried not to pretend like he was listening. So I wasn't really sure if I was getting through to him for a little while there. But then when I asked them, like, I was like, oh, if anybody wants to write anything about mindfulness, then feel free. That was it. I didn't help them with anything. The teacher did not help them. And he wrote, mindfulness has helped me so much. I am a better person to my brother. I will never
Aw.
bully anyone ever again. And I know, how to have empathy for other people. Like, I'm going to cry right now.
Oh my God, I just got the chills.
But for him to write that, when you reach a child that you think you're not reaching at all, and to get him to realize this and to even tell me that he realized this,
Yeah.
and he wanted to be like the cool kid, it blew me away. It really did. And so many other nice things that the kids wrote, but that one just stuck in my head, like really nice.
Amazing, amazing the work that you guys are doing. And if anybody wants to learn more about it, within the links, themissingmommycure.com, links to Midge herself, Mission B, it'll all be in the video below so you can check out anything and learn more about it. So, you're taking a step further. You're a preschool owner, you're an author, you're, involved in this mindful education, but, even the smallest roles that we have can help, sculpt the life of a child. So, what do you think that people can do to set a good example, you think?
Well, I have to say, if children start learning how to be mindful from the age of 5 and up, because I just want to mention that I reformatted the mindfulness curriculum to see if I could do it with my preschoolers and see if they were old enough to grasp such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have pictures and videos of them sitting with their eyes closed and relaxing and learning how to breathe. And I interview them and they say how they feel relaxed. And, I have a worry jar that I wish I would have brought down too. You shake it with all the glitter and they have to tell me their worries and what they're worried about. And then we try to do our breathing. And when I settled the jar down, it's still got all the glitter. And then they have to do their mindful breathing. And then by the time they're done, you realize your brain is unscattered as well as the jar. And that's how you're supposed to learn how to breathe. And it just is amazing. 4-year-olds grasped it also. So it's
Easier than us, you mean? They grasp it easier than us?
Oh, yes. Actually, yes. It's so true. And I'm like, you sit there and you could see the ones that are totally zoning out and are really there. And it's amazing. And I just love seeing that happen. So, but my point was, if you start at age 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
and then do it as a regular thing every single day, like a practice, you're not going to believe the I can't even say it. You're not going to believe how, as these kids turn into teens and adults, where life get really hard and mood disorders are going crazy, like hormonal imbalances and things like that, they have to learn how to deal with life without medication, without all this stuff, to deal with reality, and they don't know how to do that unless someone's going to teach them. And it just makes me upset to think that this is not a curriculum in school yet.
That's amazing.
So
I also think it's a great segue to confession time.
yeah.
So, you shared your story with me, and I tell you, as a parent, you had me in tears, and then you had me with joy after hearing the outcome of it. So, I think this is something that so many parents out there can relate to about anxiety and what you're about to reveal. So take us on the journey of what you've been through and how you've come through it.
Okay. So it's hard for me because sometimes I cry when I talk about it. But
It's okay. Everybody should get Kleenex. I'm just letting you all know that. Press pause. Go get some
no,
Kleenex.
it's okay. I got it. I got it. So, about my son who had the separation anxiety reason why I wrote the book to help other people. He had anxiety in and out of like his years growing up, and we went to therapy to help him like get strategies of how to cope and things like that, but not really realizing that anxiety is almost debilitating. It can be debilitating to some people. That's how high their anxiety can get. And my son, thank God, like I have to say this to every parent out there, have an open relationship with your child. Never make them feel like, oh, just go, it's a phase, or stop worrying about everything, blah, 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 because they might not be able to stop worrying about something. They can't help it. It's in their head. So as his life progressed, I mean, he's like lots of friends, girlfriends, he's older now, so he started college and did all of these things, and I think the pressures of life kind of, put a lot on him, and a lot more of this anxiety came out, not me realizing at first that the depression was also coming out. And he came to me and he said, and we had a very open relationship, he would come to me periodically and we would take care of whatever we could. But not one doctor, by the way, had ever said, try meditation, that might work. Not one, ever. And I've been to a lot of doctors. So he came to me and said, I can't live like this anymore. I can't do this. I don't want to live anymore. It's too hard. So that was like ding, ding, ding. If a kid tells you that, you go. You go right to the doctor and you find out to keep him safe, because he was really at the point where he didn't know what to do, and he felt it would just be easier not to be here anymore. And for your child to say that to you is really, really hard. So we did all the necessary steps that we had to do, and we got him the help that we thought he needed. But when I found this mindfulness thing came into my life at this time, I said, I'm going to try everything I can to do this with him also. And I'm so glad that I did, because it changed our lives. Like, we had the worst 6 months of my life ever as a family. And so when I took him to the doctor, we had to go to a psychiatrist and get the proper medication. And I love psychiatrists, nothing wrong with them. But this particular one would put, he was on lithium, like really heavy duty drugs. And I don't know, I'm not an expert, so I did what they told me to do, and he turned into this man I didn't know, a different person. And you know what? Finally, he said to me, Mom, I feel worse. And every time I would call the doctor, he'd say, give him more, up his dose, where he was at a really high dose. And I called him crying. We gave it 6 months. I mean, I called him crying like, I can't do this to my son anymore. Like, I need to know how to wean him off of this. And he was like yelling at me, saying, this is against my medical advice. You're putting your son at risk. And my son was right there next to me on the phone. He's like, I am not taking one more pill. I am not doing this anymore. And we took him off the drugs, and we stopped going to that doctor. And we practiced some meditation at home. And we also, the hugest thing was positive affirmations also. Always telling your child something positive, because he's got friends. He's a normal kid. He just has this weight of this depression and anxiety that just takes over your life. And the more you tell people, like I told people, and they said, oh, my sister has that, or so-and-so has that. Like, nobody wants to say it, but he wanted me to say it. And I thought this was so admirable of him, because he's like, if this helps one person, Mom, then I did my job. And he, at this point, he still has some ups and downs, but the downs are not near as down as they were. Like, we had to stay home from vacations just to make sure he was okay. Like, we couldn't leave him for a while. And we went to support groups together, and the family went, and even his brother would come, and it was a big deal. Like, it was a really big deal. Like, my second son started to develop throwing up thing at school. He couldn't function. He had to go. So I sent him to the psychologist there, because then he came out that he was so worried about his brother that he couldn't function. So I was like, oh my gosh, the whole family. But we're at a place now where he's doing great, and he's just around such positive people. Another thing, I hate to say this, but negative people, you have to kind of cut out of your life. And he is surrounded by just wonderful employers that he has now, and they treat him so nicely. He's told them all his issues and what he's been through, and they are so supportive. And I would leave notes on his car and on the mirror and all over his room, like, I'm so proud of you. You can do anything that you put your mind to. You can do this. And it was funny because I left one on his car, and he said, I thought I got a ticket on my car, and I was in the driveway. Did I get a ticket? And then he takes a picture of it, and he says, thank you, Mama, I love you. So he's doing great.
That's great. I think it's a true testament to you that your son is the one who encouraged you to tell this story and to help others. And I don't think there's a parent, I told you you'd make me cry. I don't think there's a parent out there who can't relate on some level to knowing if there's something wrong with your child and wanting to help it and going through that cycle of helplessness to hopefulness. And, kudos to you for doing that. And I think, what I hear from that is the power of parental intuition. Like, always trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And don't ignore your child when they say, like, I find a lot of people just say, oh, he's going through a phase. Oh, it'll go away. But you have to really listen or look for clues, like tissues in his garbage pail piled up to the top, like, every day. He's been crying, So you have to pay attention, because it could change like that. Your life could change like that. You don't know.
So what advice would you give out there to parents who are struggling and not knowing how to help their children?
With this kind of issue?
This kind of issue, or even anything else along these lines.
Well, I had written something for the support group, but actually I wrote it for my son, and he put it on his wall, and I kind of just took what he was saying he was worried about all the time, and put it into a positive turn. And to my surprise, my husband told me read it at the meeting. And I'm like, okay. And everyone started crying and clapping, and they wanted a copy of it for their child to put on their door. And this has really helped him. He never takes it down. And I told him, if you ever take it down and rip it up, I'm going to just put a new one up. I'm just going to keep putting it up. So you have to look at it every single day. But it just says, my name is, and then you fill in the blank. I am a fighter. I have an illness. I will never be perfect or be expected to be perfect. I will be in control of my life. My illness, my illness will make life hard sometimes, but I can manage it and be happy. God loves me and accepts me for who I am and for what feelings I have. He was afraid God would be mad at him.
Oh, God.
This hard time in my life will someday make sense. This illness is paving the way for my life's journey and bringing me to a more fulfilled and happy future. I will have faith and throw all of my problems up to God and trust that He will take care of them.
Oh my God. That is beautiful.
Yeah, because that's what all the things that he was worried about, what the feeling he had. He was afraid God would be mad at him, or he had to be perfect. That was a big thing. If you see that your child feels like they have to do everything perfectly, that is a red flag, just so you know. They have to be reminded, you don't have to be perfect. Make mistakes. It's part of life. They have to make mistakes. He never wanted to make a mistake. Always wanted to get the highest grade. You know, he gets a 3.9 in college right now. Like, I have to keep still telling him, whatever you get, doesn't matter. You know, it's life.
Wow, my little one is always like that. Like, has a perfection streaks. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
No, I'll pay attention.
Pay attention.
Wow.
Yeah, perfectionism is one of the key things, you know, and being really hard on yourself. Like, if he got a 90 when he was a kid, like third grade, he got a 90, he'd be crying because he didn't get 100. I'm like, where did he get this from? I mean, I like to have him get good grades, but I'm not like, you better get good grades, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Midge.
It's inside of them. They can't help it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story and for everything else. I mean, I've learned so much tonight. I adore you. And I just want to throw it out there, as we wrap up the show, what final message or what would you want to communicate to the people out there?
I don't know what I haven't said already, but just get books on starting school to make things easier, like a transition. Always read to them every night just to let them know that it's okay and to pay attention. And one thing that drives me nuts is when parents just say, um, oh, just look at everything you have. You have everything. Why do you feel this way? I found out that's the worst thing to say to someone that's going through a depression or thing. I got books. I do everything. But, they already know they have everything, and then it makes them feel worse because they're like, I already know I have this wonderful life. Why do I feel this way? And they have to try to change their thinking. It's all about mind over matter. It really is. Positive affirmations. I text him all day long, positive affirmations. And he needs to just be reminded, not all day long, maybe a couple times a week, but I don't want to be annoying.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing all that with us, Midge. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Yes, thank you so much, Jenny.
You got it. So to check out Midge, I'm going to have her social media sites, her preschool site, her book site, her networking site, her Mission B site. I'm going to have that all out in the video below after we're done recording, so you can click on any link and find her at any time. Get those books if you have children or you even know nieces or nephews. It's really great. It really is a positive book and easy read. So easy for the kids to understand. So check that out. I'm Jenny Watson. I'm a personal empowerment coach. You can find me at www.jennifer-watson.me. If you're interested in being a guest on my show and confessing, you can contact me via email at jenny@jenniferwatson.me. So next week, I am super excited because it is my 1-year anniversary, and I am having a whole panel of guests come back who I've interviewed over the years, and we're turning the tables, and they're going to try to get a confession out of me. So that should be interesting to see if I'm going to reveal anything. And it'll be just great to connect with all those people again. So join next week. It's on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I want to thank you so very much for tuning in, this and every week, and for showing your support and for supporting my guests who are all been amazing people. I'm truly, truly full of gratitude for you all that I'm still on the air after a year, and I continue to find great people just to interview and to introduce to the world. So thanks again for your support. Namaste. And embrace your power.